I just finished up plant shopping and thought it'd be cool to show you guys how I get the plants ready to go into a chameleon enclosure, where I put them, how I set them up, and everything in between. So without further ado, let's get into the video. I wanted to redo the plants in Neptune's enclosure. For one, his pothos plants was on the struggle bus big time, so I wanted to replace that to give him more things to climb and more coverage. And additionally, the pothos that I had in the bottom was actually my house plant, and I kind of want to put it back in my house and not in his enclosure. So I went plant shopping, and now I'm going to kind of walk you guys through how I got everything set up. So the first thing I did was repot all my plants. That means I took the root out and I replaced the soil with organic potting soil. The reason for this is sometimes the plants at Home Depot or Lowe's or your nursery will sometimes have fertilizers, and if your chameleon accidentally eats that soil, then they're ingesting that fertilizer, which can be problematic. So I like to just rather be safe than sorry, so I will repot all my plants with organic potting soil. If you want, you can wash the leaves with some soap and water, and if you want to take it an extra step, you can take large river rocks and put that on top of the soil to prevent your chameleon from ingesting into that soil. So once they're all repotted, you're good to go. I did that. I didn't touch any of the branches because they already have the proper basking temperature and UVB exposure, and Neptune loves his branches. We're working our way down to the enclosure. I want to provide more coverage for him down low because he does like to explore down there. So I put this kind of like floppy looking plant in there. I forget the name of it, but I'll put it on the screen for you guys. So I put one hibiscus down there. We'll see how that does, fingers crossed. And I already had a pothos down there that was actually doing really, really well. As the vines were growing, so I was able to take those pothos and kind of wrap it around the enclosure, and because of this, I was actually able to take out the one fake plant that was in Neptune's enclosure. So as of right now, today, he has 100% live plants in his enclosure, which is something that I'm really proud of and excited for, and this is because all the other plants were able to grow in the enclosure. So if you have the ability to use exclusively live plants, definitely highly recommend. And then the way that I attach them up high is I use the 2-pot method, which means you're gonna have one pot that's your plant is in, and you're gonna take the exact same pot, exact same size, and you're gonna cut slits in it. And then you're going to run a zip tie through the back of it. Once you've done that, then you can take that and attach it inside the enclosure. So I have dragon strand ledges. You can purchase these separately. They come with the dragon strand enclosure, or you can be a little scrappy and just attach it to a branch that's already inside your enclosure. But then you're going to take the zip tie and fixate it to either the ledge or the branch, whatever you're doing. And once that's firmly zip tied, then you have the ability to then take your potted plant and put that into the pot that is zip tied in your enclosure. This is really, really awesome because if that plant ends up dying or you just want to replace it with something else, easy swap. Just take that old one out and put a new one in. You don't have to readjust everything. Or if you find that that plant actually needs more light, then you can move it over here. It's super flexible to arranging your enclosure. So I put a begonia in one corner because I knew those do well with the light, and then I put a creeping Jenny on the other side. Fingers crossed that gets super viney. If you're ever looking for plant ideas, be sure to check out my video up above here or in the description box below. And that about does it. The last step was just to put his Hawaiian tea plant back into his enclosure because he loves climbing that. So now it's nice and full, new plants, new places for him to explore. Keep in mind that if you do make changes to your chameleon enclosure, it's totally normal and totally expected for them to kind of freak out for a little bit. Maybe they don't eat. It's just like you're bringing them home for the first time. They're getting readjusted to their new enclosure, so don't freak out if they freak out. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Leave me any questions or comments down below. Feel free to subscribe so you know when I post a new video. You can follow Neptune and all my chameleons on social media at Neptune the Chameleon. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day. Bye! So I'm about to take Apollo out of his enclosure and put him into Luna's enclosure to introduce my two Christopher Parsons together. Fingers crossed he's interested in her and she's interested in him, and they will breed and I'll get some baby Parsons out of this.